Hello, and I'm glad to greet you at our NEH practical webinar on improving energy efficiency at home and business. My name is Maria Stepanova, and I'm a NEH expert. I'm a trainer, consultant, and auditor for energy management with 15 years experience in various energy efficiency projects. And today I will show you that the principles of real energy management that are usually used for big and energy-intensive industrial companies can be easily adopted to our needs of common households and house owners. As for my family, we practiced these principles for some years, and in the previous flat, we've got a kind of a 25% cut in our electricity bill. But now we live in Almaty, and it's a rented flat. It's a new billing system for us, some new meters, etc. So it's a kind of a challenge, but we'll see. Well, now I am a member of the NEH team, and you are welcome to visit our social networks. NEH is a new energy advancement hub. It is an edtech company, a distributed team. We work, our mission is to accelerate energy transition and thus to reduce emissions. And we do it through innovative educational and communicative solutions. So one of the products of NEH that I'm involved in is an online course, Cut Your Bills, Practical Energy Management for Buildings. It is ready to launch these days. And actually today's webinar is a kind of summary from this course. So, and to get acquainted closer, I would advise you, maybe you wrote in the chat, what are you and why are you interested in the topic of energy efficiency? And I will introduce you our plan. So first we'll look, is there any restrictions for us when we speak about energy efficiency? Does it restrict us as our comfort or our day-to-day life somehow? Then we'll speak why the real energy management that is used for energy-intensive industrial companies, why it helps us and how. Then we'll speak about energy analysis. It's a kind of a core of energy management and how we get data and how we process it. We'll look at different types of measures and learn how to choose them. And also we'll find where to get support. For example, how to involve other people like our colleagues or family mates or neighbors, and how to find support out of our household with the incentive programs. And I've prepared a bonus for you at the end. I will show you a very easy and visual method how to monitor the effect of your efforts. So when we start to act as energy manager for our dwelling, we need to know if we are a success or not. And there are some difficult things, but I will show you a very easy visual model how to do it. Your questions are welcome in the chat, and I will allocate some time afterwards to answer them. So you're welcome also with your introductions. What are you and why are you interested in this topic? And we're going further. So my message today is quite simple, that it's a kind of new ethics for all of us to be responsible for our daily energy habits, for our behavior. It really does matter. Immediately, it's about our comfort and our quality of life for us and for our family, and the amount of our bill. But further, it is about the energy system that is not overloaded by our consumption. And even further, it's about our environmental and carbon footprint, that we reduce it, and thus we help the sustainability. Once one of my teachers, it was long ago, Mr. Danilov, he said, do not boil the full kettle. And it was a change of mindset for me, really, because he was not aiming to teach me to boil water. But what he did is that I started to think, really, if I boil the full kettle and I use only 1 cup of water, then all this kettle is being boiled once more and once more again and again, and I waste energy. It's a very small idea, but what it did, it really shocked me, rocked my mindset. And this is how it works. We change our mindset, our vision, then we change our behavior. But further, we need to involve other people and to change their habits also. Then we got the needed impact. Mostly the pains and worries why we are busy with energy efficiency are of these groups. Yes, so first we want to save money, to save our family budget and to control the energy bill. Second is we seek for reliability. It's not always easy to do from our side, but still our conscious behavior helps reliability of the infrastructure. We also need comfort. And we understand that we want to get more sustainable and to help sustainable development. And also, if you now write in the chat which of these drivers acts for you mostly, I will be grateful. And I will show you how it works. So humanity needs energy for development. And for several hundreds of years, it turned so that we tend to extract fossil fuels like oil, gas, and coal, then we burn it, and it causes global climate change. Actually, not only burning fossil fuels, but many other things like we organized our economy, made us that their planetary boundaries, so-called, yes, are violated. And this is a threat to the existence of humanity, actually. But coming back to fossil fuels and to our energy and carbon impact, it is causing climate change. And besides all the infrastructure, it is very expensive to be built, and it is expensive to be exploited. And we pay not very little bills, yes, not very small. So we think the energy is expensive for us, but their suppliers say sometimes these payments are not enough to exploit the infrastructure properly. So it's a kind of vicious circle, and we need to do something with it. But vice versa, on the contrary, when we as end users start to to conserve energy and to reduce our consumption, we help not to overload their infrastructure like grids and pipelines, and they can take and provide energy to other customers, not building new capacities. And besides, we help planet with getting more sustainable. So I would say that these groups of concerns are different. Like we said, that savings, comfort, sustainability, and reliability of energy. But to this or that extent, they are common for all the people all over the world. So if we look, say, at European countries, now within the energy crisis, the European countries are busy with the reliability of energy supply, but still they are not ready to compromise their environmental commitments. Then the US, it's now a bit of some policy there before the election cycle, but still they have adopted a few very powerful legislation acts that are really stimulating energy efficiency. If we look at China, say they burn much coal, but still they are leaders. China is a leader of production of techniques and machines for the renewable energy. As for developing countries like Africa or India or others, they need reliability and just supply of energy, but still they got also their environmental and carbon commitments. For Central Asia, for any country that we look, people are busy with the same reliability, comfort, supply of energy, their bills, and sustainability. And for these different concerns, actually the answer is, one of the answers is the same. It's our greener habits. And we need to make this conscious behavior a kind of routine. Then we reduce our carbon footprint, save money, provide comfort, and help sustainability. Actually, when we pay for energy, we buy our extra time and our comfort, because this is how it works. And what we need to do is to answer the question, where is that balance? To move that slider to the right or to the left, to find that balance between the needed comfort, that it is still okay for me, and the reduction of my energy consumption. What is the balance for you? That is the question. And now, why energy management helps us to get more conscious and green and to save money. Here is a list of key points that are crucial for energy management system. First is energy analysis. We need to define the baseline, so where we start, to organize monitoring of our consumption, to set the goals, and when we make measures, we monitor the result, and then we correct ourselves. On the next cycle, are we doing good or not enough, or how we can do better? These solutions and these decisions should be data-driven. So it's not just our intuition or hypothesis. We need to get trusted data, and that helps us to be a good energy manager for our home. Then we need to focus on the key points, and it also means that we need to understand what points are the most crucial for us, and energy management helps here, and I will show you how. Then design and procurement, it means that when we buy a new appliance, a new refrigerator, say, or when we make a retrofit, a kind of modernization of our house, or when we build a new country house, we always should focus on that matter, on that feature that we want to be more energy efficient. Cyclicity, I have already mentioned that we always check the results and correct our efforts. And the engagement, that it's impossible to be alone in this field and to act alone. We need support, and we need to engage people around us. So why the meter matters? Actually, you can see, as I say, we need to be based with profound data. Now we do not pay for every resource according to real consumption. If you tell me in the chat what resources are metered in your dwelling, it will be good. We'll see what is the situation. As for me, now we are paying for electricity according to the meter, and that's it. Not for water and not for the heat, but actually this is a rented flat again, yes. But it's not enough, as I see it. Why? Because our energy suppliers are big companies with a staff of lawyers and of etc., with good business processes. And everybody of us, we're just homeowners. We are not organized in this way, and we're not supported by such an expertise. But we need to get to become quiet consumers. And actually, metering our consumption is one of the methods. It disciplines not only us, but the other party, our supplier as well. It allows us to manage our behavior, because we cannot control if we do not meter, if we do not know the real amount of our consumption. But we need to remember that when we start metering our consumption, it doesn't always mean that we start to save money. Sometimes our real consumption is greater than when we were paying for it. It's in a kind of some social limit. So the meter is actually not about savings. It's about truth. It's about fairness. And it's about really trustful relationship between us and our supplier. So Anastasia writes that sustainability and controlling the bills. Yes, thank you. Drives, what are the drivers for energy efficiency? So as an energy manager for our dwelling, we need to understand some primary energy balance. It's not so easy to know it in detail, but we are moving towards. We want to find it out. The first, what we should do is to take our monthly energy bill and make a list of the so-called primary resources. That means the resources that we pay for. Then we look around, and if there are any energy conversion on our side, that is a gas boiler, water heater, etc. So we convert one energy resource into some other, like gas or electricity to heat. And we consume maybe not gas, but the heat. So here comes the second list of the so-called end-use resources that we use every day. And then for every resource from the second list, we should understand, we should break it down, the consumption of this end-use resource into the significant energy uses. We should discover what are the major consumers. Here is an example for electricity consumption. It is kind of winter season, I suppose, because the electric heating is the major, then the AC, cooking, water heater, lighting, and some others. It's not so easy. We cannot do it in one step, such a breakdown. But what we need is to do it in some way with assumptions, calculations, metering, etc. It helps us to see the real picture and then to focus our efforts. Now I'm going to show you one and very simple, the most general method of monitoring your consumption. And in our online course, one of the lessons is devoted to energy contracts and energy bills. And here and there we also show that some suppliers use such methods and even print out such diagrams in energy bills for their consumers. What we do, we just fill in the data from our bills, say they are monthly bills. One column is consumption, in, say, for electricity, it's kilowatt hours, and another column is payments in your money units. And then what I did is I made a diagram. The blue bars are for the left axis. It's our consumption in kilowatt hours, and red graph is for right axis, and it's our payments in our money units, yes, financial units. And here what we see, yes, there's a seasonal character. So in winter, the consumption is much greater than in summer. Then maybe it's because of electric heating, maybe because the day is not so long in winter and we need lighting, etc. But we can somehow compare, say, one March with another March, and we see that in November our consumption has increased greatly. We can find an answer why. Also, we see that there may be different correlation between the payments and the real consumption, and we may ask ourselves why, what's the matter. So even this very simple method helps us to find some answers. but we go further. We can use not only our bills, but also we can calculate to make some estimations when we need this breakdown inside the one or another energy resource. For example, for electricity and for appliances, we can look in the passport and find the input capacity, input power of, say, iron or vacuum cleaner. And if we multiply it with hours of use, we get the monthly consumption of in kilowatt hours for this iron or vacuum cleaner. But the problem is, for example, vacuum cleaner does not almost permanently consume the maximal input power. That's why this figure will not be very accurate. It will not be accurate for such appliances with adjusted regimes. Also, it will not be good for such appliances as refrigerator, because it is on all day long and all night long, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, etc. And it neither consumes the maximum capacity from the grid. That's why we need to know these principles, and we need to understand how we can calculate, for example, some limits of this consumption to make this breakdown. But we need other methods also. Here is also, we show the energy label that is used in the EU for appliances. As you see, here is that energy efficiency scale from A to G, where A is the best one. And also, they, according to a special method, they calculate average approximate consumption per annum. So when you choose what vacuum cleaner to buy, you can easily compare them looking at these energy labels. Many countries and jurisdictions got these or of other type, some energy labels, which allow us to compare the consumption. And also we can calculate that even if this vacuum cleaner is more expensive than another one, but that extra cost will be paid off in 2 or 3 or 5 years, and we can make a good decision if we want to buy it or not. Another method, even more accurate and trusted, is not to calculate but to meter. And here is shown an example of a watt meter. It can be bought on every marketplace, I suppose. It is plugged into the socket, and our appliance is plugged into that watt meter. And say in a week, we can actually make a road show across our dwelling and meter most of our appliances and understand which of them is more expensive in terms of kilowatt hours. And besides, we should keep in mind that the progress is rapid. And say, if in my country house a refrigerator is working good, but it is 3 or 30 years old, yes, then I should understand that it is much more expensive for me in terms of energy it consumes, much more expensive, not 20%, much more. So, but actually what we need is to find some basis for our decisions as an energy manager, yes? So, and in our course, we also learn how to make these decisions, where to get data and how to use them. When again, concerning this balance between our consumption and our comfort, if I have a time just to drink a cup of tea in my kitchen, it means that my helpers are working for me this very moment, that multi-cooker, oven, dishwasher, etc. They are working for me. And again, this is about the balance. Where is that new comfort? Maybe it's a bit more strict than yesterday, but it's okay for me now, and I understand that it's okay for my bill also. If you write in the chat what measures are you already have you already invented in your house concerning energy efficiency? Maybe you save water or electricity or heat or gas. Please share. And I will show you the difference between energy consuming and passive measures. Because when I say we pay for energy and we buy our comfort, we should understand also that there are some passive measures that do not need energy to get more comfortable. First of all, if we minimize the heat exchange between interior and outside air, we will need less energy for heating and cooling. Then if we let in the sunlight through the day, then we need not artificial lighting. If we need the sun heat through the day in winter, we can also heat our premises less with the bought heat, and so on. We can dry clothes not with the electrical drying machine, electrical dryer, but in the air, etc. And also there are some helpers, some like water aerators, or we can use shower instead of bath, and some other things and hacks that actually help us to reduce our energy consumption, not compromising comfort. These are so-called passive measures. But if we still need energy for our comfort, then we can take other kinds of measures. Some of them are cheap and some of them are more expensive and comprehensive. As for the cheapest, so first of all, and this is actually, this should be our day-to-day routine. We should provide that the maintenance of our devices is okay. So to avoid, to keep the heating elements clean, to replace and clean the filters, to understand that all the sockets are not being heated, that they are okay and not without any problems, to caulk the cracks and not avoiding draughts across the house, to use the local light if it is okay and not to lighten all the big room, for example, to adjust the regimes of our appliances if it is suitable, for example, for washing machine, for vacuum cleaner, sometimes for kettle, etc. As for more expensive comprehensive measures, first of all, it's the thermal insulation, sure, of walls and floors and attic, and sometimes window replacement, not to get the good heated or cooled air out of our premises. Yes, maybe to organize a buffer zone at the entrance of if our dwellings is a small business, yes, and people go in and out our coffee. So another opportunity is to integrate renewable energy sources like solar panels or small wind turbines and heat pumps also. It is not so easy, but still it promises good potential for savings. Heat automation and heat recovery recuperators is the same story. And what energy management teaches us is that we are not blind anymore when we need to make these decisions, whether to do thermal insulation or not. What is the payback period of a heat pump? Is it okay for us or not? Maybe of a heat pump of another technology, etc. So there are good news. First of them is that we can count and understand the cash flow of every project. And I will show you here. It's a draft of our workbook. For example, in one of the lessons, we provide a template on the payback period, to calculate the payback period when we change the bulbs, the lighting bulbs. So here we put in the tariff in kilowatts, tariff in our money per kilowatt hour, and then several types of bulbs according to their wattage and the amount of them. And then we need to estimate the hours of work a day of all these types of bulbs in different seasons, because we understand that in summer and in winter they work for different time. And so there are embedded formulas there, and finally we get that number, the cost of lighting. And then what we need to do is to find new LED, say, lamps, yes, and to put in the cost of these bulbs. And our formulas will calculate the simple payoff period. Here it is less than 2 years. And this template also can be used for modeling. You can change a number of bulbs, their wattage and their cost, and see what will be the payback period here. So another good news when we speak about expensive retrofit or programs or renewable energy integration is that there are almost in every country, there are programs and incentives that stimulate us and help us, like subsidies or tax cuts or tax returns or some preferential loans. And in our energy management course, we also dedicated one of the lessons to these incentives, how to find them, where to ask good questions. For example, energy suppliers often suggest some opportunities for energy monitoring and for incentives also. Local authorities, regional, federal, and even multinational programs are available. So, going back to the key principles of energy management, we use energy analysis. We need data for it, but we understand the baseline where we started and how we monitor our monthly consumption and our monthly payments. We set our goals, and after monitoring, we see if we are okay with them or not, and we can make some corrections to our plans. We can choose between different measures, passive, more cheap or more expensive, but if we are armed with data, it is more easy and more trustful, so to say, yes. Then we learned to focus on the significant energy uses and to understand that there is the major potential. And we also understand that when we need to buy something or to make some retrofits, so to spend some extra money in our property, we also remember that we want to choose the most energy efficient equipment, or to understand why we choose this or that one, because we can calculate the payoff period. And one more thing is engagement. I've said already that it is impossible that I'm trying to save money and energy here and nobody around is aware of it. So one of the lessons in our energy management online course is about that, how to make it a kind of fun for the family mates, how to involve children, and how to do it together. You are listening to me for 40 minutes, and thank you for that. But what we do at NEH, we not only suggest such webinars or any other content, but also we give you a space where it's a NEH community, where you can find and ask different people engaged in this sphere and passionate with energy transition and sustainable development. And you can become one of them, and you can share your experience, your insight, and your discoveries. So that is much more efficient, as we say. Here is the link to our NEH community. It's in a beta test now, and it's free to enter. You are welcome. And concerning our online course, it is ready to be launched, and it will be launched tomorrow, I suppose. It is called Cut Your Bill, Practical Energy Management for Buildings. Here are the 12 sections, topics. We have touched almost every of them, as you see. It's about appliances, lighting, then that primary energy balance of our dwelling, about reading energy bills and energy contract, and contacting our energy supplier. Then the most energy intensive processes like heating, cooling, and ventilation, like providing microclimate. Then water management, separate section. Then engagement. And also about smart solutions, it's what help can we get from the digitalization. There are a lot of progressive and innovative methods, actually. Then how to integrate renewable energy resources into our home, and also about financial incentives. Actually, I have given you now the overview, but if you need some guidance, help, you can join this course. It consists of 12 sections. In total, it is 29 small video lessons, about 3 to 5 or 7 minutes each, not more. And also what we do, we provide you with the Excel workbook. It's a kind of also a guide for you. So after watching our videos, we suggest that you open this cloud file and do some practice to move further in your efforts as an energy manager. And besides, we give you, after every of 12 lessons, we give you a file with lists of measures. And in the workbook, we encourage you to mark all the measures, either they have already implemented in your house, or you think it is possible to implement them, or you are not sure. And so that second column, possible to implement measures, as we see, this is the immediate plan of your actions, what to do. And we have gathered them all on the very last page of the workbook. So when you mark this measure as possible to implement, it automatically appears there. And after finishing the course, you'll see your action plan. And any moment you can go back to this or that lesson and watch video again, or redo this practice, because as an energy manager, you always get some new insights. You're always developing in your knowledge and in your vision. And as for the measures that are doubtful to implement, we assume this is a kind of lake of ideas. Some further, you can address this list to check if something changed and if maybe some of these measures are okay now. So here is our course. Here's its page. I will give you the link to it now, but here how it looks like. And there are 2 tariff plans there. So if you're more confident about what are you doing, then we suggest that you pay €39. And you will get all that I mentioned already. So videos with practical tips and in a comfortable platform, yes, and a summary for every lesson with the lists of measures, and the workbook with calculating templates and that practical guidance. And if you need more support, then I, as an expert in energy management, will help you. This another tariff plan supposes a launch webinar and 2 sessions of questions and answers within 4 weeks, and also feedback on every lesson in your workbook. So if you give us back your practical exercises after every lesson in your workbook, I will give my feedback and help you to move further and to save your time also. So here is the link to that page of this course, and you're welcome. You're welcome also now with your questions, if any. I will be glad to answer them. But I promised a bonus track for you, a small but easy to implement visual method, how to monitor your efforts. There are actually different methods, some of them like with correlation equations, with estimating the effects of different factors that influence, but we will do in another way, much more simple. Remember our data on monthly consumption and monthly payments. What we do is we make 2 extra columns and for trends in consumption in kilowatt hours and trends in payments in financial units. And here, starting from the December, the 12th period, this figure is a sum of these 12 previous periods. And then what we do, we shift this frame 1 period lower and 1 period lower. So for the January figure, it contains again the 12 previous periods from February to January, and etc. And when we do this, what we get, and then we make a diagram. Again, blue bars and left axis is our consumption, and red graph and right axis is our payments. But every blue bar now contains all the seasons, all the 12 months beforehand. That means that there is no seasonal character here, and we see real trends of our consumption. What we see, that it is really reducing. Sometimes it is stable, then it starts to reduce again. But so we see the impact of our efforts. But here again, we see that the red graph is not reducing, and that's a good question why. Maybe we pay not for the real consumption. Maybe there are some extra fees that are growing, although the consumption is reducing. Anyway, you can try this with your own bills and your situation and see the trend. That was that small hack. If there are any questions, you are welcome. And here is once more this link to our NEAR course for practical energy management for buildings. I was very glad to be with you today. And you are welcome to join NEAR community and our network, social networks also, where you can find the questions and you can ask me and other NEAR experts concerning your situation and your efforts in energy efficiency and energy transition. Thank you very much and goodbye.